All right, good morning. Third day, hump day, and we're still with the theme of peace this morning. But I wanted to add in another element to the theme, which is the idea of light or the sun. In the Yoga Sutras were written or compiled, I would say, in a time when people were struggling and suffering, much as we are now. There's a lot going on. Things are really, I think, challenging right now with all social media and everything changing so quickly. At about 2,000 years ago, we know that there was a lot going on because that's around when Jesus showed up. So when Patanjali brought the Yoga Sutras together, around the time that Buddha was here. So there was a need for some guidance. And so in the Yoga Sutras, he talks about how we can come to a peace of mind, which is really what we're all looking for. Right? Peace is not something that happens outside of us, that when our world is peaceful, we're peaceful. We can be miserable even when we're in paradise. So finding peace has to come from our own selves, from our own hearts, from our own minds. And one of the things that is written in the sutras that's helpful is to focus on something bigger, greater than ourselves. Another is to focus on the breath. One is to focus on light. So we focused on breath quite a bit yesterday, and we'll continue with that as we do on all the classes that I teach to some extent. But I wanted to read something to you from a little book that I picked up, I don't know, at least 20 years ago. And it's a lovely little book by a monk named Thich Nhat Hanh. Some of you might be familiar with his work. And this book, it's showing it's backwards in my computer. I'm not sure if it's forwards or backwards in yours, but it's called Peace is Every Step. And it's about bringing peace and mindfulness into everything that we do in life. So I wanted to read you a little section from this book this morning. And it's called The Sun in My Heart. So we know that if our heart stops beating, the flow of our life will stop. And so we cherish our heart very much. Yet we do not often take the time to notice that other things outside of our bodies are also essential to our survival. Look at the immense light we call the sun. If it were to stop shining, the flow of our life would also stop. So the sun is our second heart, a heart outside of our body. This immense heart gives life, gives all life on earth the warmth necessary for existence. Plants live thanks to the sun. Their leaves absorb the sun's energy along with carbon dioxide from the air to produce food for the tree, the flower, the plankton. And thanks to plants, we and other animals can live, all of us. People, animals, and plants consume the sun directly and indirectly. We cannot begin to describe all the effects of the sun, that great heart outside of our body. My teacher, Mr. Desikachar, believed that if we could connect with the sun, we would find that same warmth within ourselves. And he also believed that everyone has some sort of connection with the sun, and the sun has the ability to lift our spirits and to bring us a sense of ease and peace and calm. Mind you, when it's really hot, the sun does the opposite for me, is very agitating. So let's take a moment. You can close your eyes if you like. You might imagine some aspect of the sun or some other form of light, like a candle or campfire. And if, like me, you find the hot sun in the middle of the day too much, too stimulating, you might imagine the sunrise or the sunset. You might imagine the sun filtered through the leaves of a tree. So take a moment to visualize any aspect of the sun or light that speaks to you this morning. And take your hands one over the other over your heart. See if you can imagine that connection as you breathe. As your heart expands with the inhalation, you might feel a connection with the light or the sun. And as you exhale, let the shoulders sink down. Feel yourself come into your space right here, right now in this moment. Inhale, connect with the light. Exhale, connect with yourself in this moment, in this space. Take a few more breaths like that. Inhale, connect with the light. As if you're breathing it into your heart. As you exhale, feel your body, feel the space around you. Be present in this moment with yourself. Let's take a few more breaths like that, quietly together. Your mind might wander momentarily. Draw it back to the breath. Inhale, drawing in the light, connecting with the sun or whatever source of light you've chosen. As you exhale, feel yourself, feel your seat. Feel yourself in your space, in your body, as much as possible. You can gradually release your hands, bring them, excuse me, down onto your thighs. And we'll start with a little warm up for the spine as we have other days, with a little cat-cow. So you can use the hands against the thighs or the knees to bring a little leverage, drawing the shoulders back as you inhale, letting the shoulders relax forward as you exhale. And following that movement through your breath. Your breath guide your movement. If you feel inclined and it helps you to bring more focus, you could bring yesterday's theme into the practice as well, which is really focus on the breath. And we added a little bit of a pause or noticing pauses after the inhale and exhale. So if that helps you to stay present, you can bring that in as well. Let's add a little element here today of lifting the arms as we lift the heart, coming up into a little extension for the spine, and then you can add a bit of a forward bend. Inhale, extension, exhale, rounding or flexing the spine. And this time as you come upright, stay upright and let your arms come down to your sides. If you're sitting on the floor, your hands might come to the ground. If you're on a chair, they can hang down to your sides. And let's lift the shoulders and roll them back and down. And if you like, you can coordinate this with your breathing. Inhaling up, exhaling as you come down. But you can always choose to move and breathe freely and ignore my breath cues. The important thing is that you're breathing more than how you're breathing. Good. You can either let the arms hang down to your sides or bring the hands back onto your thighs or knees. We'll turn the head to one side. And if your eyes are open, even if they're not, you can do this, letting your eyes follow behind you. If you're trying to look into the space behind you, giving your eyes a little stretch as well, or the muscles that support your eyes. And then let's sweep the chin across the front of the chest. As you come up to the other side, again, letting your gaze follow the rotation of your neck. Stretch the muscles that support your eyes. And then let's slowly sweep the chin side to side a few more times. Notice how your neck feels this morning, and when you encounter areas that feel a little tight, you can pause there and either simply hold that position or do some little movements, little circles around that area. Some of you have mentioned how surprisingly stiff you feel at 7 in the morning. Most of you are used to doing your yoga a little later in the day, I think. So taking our time to really get into where we feel that tightness and slowly working it out, never forcing or pushing your body in any way, especially when you encounter some restriction. When you encounter restriction, what's helpful is to go with the themes of yesterday and today. Is to check in with your breath, notice if you're holding tension in your body, bringing your breath to that place where you feel tightness, and then maybe visualizing the sun and its warmth and its ability to melt and relax the body. Let's do some circles with the wrists. And you can make little fists, changing that stretch a little, and even tuck your thumbs in to stretch a little more across the top of the hand and into the wrist. Make sure you're breathing here and find nice length in your spine. And you can circle both directions. And then stretch the fingers wide. Feel it stretch across the palm of your hand. And then give the hands a little shake. Right, and then we'll come to stand up. And I need to adjust my screen a bit so that you'll be able to see me. More of me, most of me. So as you come to your mat, find your feet underneath your hips. The feet roughly parallel to one another. So there's this tendency when we're standing to turn the feet out a little bit, which rotates externally through the thighs and can create a sense of feeling a bit jammed up around the back of the pelvis, the sacroiliac joints. So as we bring the feet parallel to one another, we create a little opening around the sacrum. So finding that position with your feet. Feel your heels sink down into the earth and feel a sense of lifting through the crown of your head. So we'll take another moment to invite the sun in with a little bit of a gesture here. So we take the arms to the sides and inhale, reach up. And as if we're gathering the light from the sun, and it's actually just starting to come up now, and bring that sun down into your heart. So we'll inhale as if we're gathering light from all around us. Well, that could be any kind of light, but as the sun rises, it's lovely to connect with that. So inhale, gathering light, connecting with that light, feeling your heart as much as possible, connecting with the light and the energy of the sun. Do a couple more like that. And the next time the hands come to the heart, pause for a moment, feel your breath. You could imagine the breath expanding to the front, the sides, and the back of your body as though the rays of the sun were expanding in your chest. And then when you're ready, release the hands. And we'll work with a gentle forward bend to keep warming up the body. So reaching up with the breath in. Exhale, bend your knees a little bit, let your head relax forward. You can either take the hands to the knees, shin, or further down. Inhale. It's really helpful to keep the knees a little bent as you're lifting and lowering, and when you're in the forward bend, exhale forward. Let the head release. Inhale, lift. You can straighten the legs as you come up. Bend the knees a little as you go down and up. Let's add a half forward bend. So we'll come down fully, or as fully as comfortable for you, exhaling. And then inhale, take your hands to your shins or your knees, come about halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Remember, follow your own breath. So if my breath rhythm is different from yours, it's fine to move at a different pace than me. It's also fine to simply do the movement and breathe freely. We're coming up with an inhale, forward with an exhale if you're following the breath. Inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, gather light from all around you now. Bring the arms overhead. Take the hands back to the heart. Pause there, connecting again with that inner light that connects to the outer light of the sun. Everything is connected, all of us and all of nature. There's no separation. We feel that separation, but it's an illusion. You feel that connection to the sun, to the light. Let's bring the palms together now. And if you leave a little space between your hands, so you're not pressing the hands together tight, but creating a little bit of space. And those of you who have been in my classes before, you know this little cave in the hands. Actually, all of you have been in classes with me, so should be somewhat familiar. And in that space in your hands, picture the light. So it could be the sun if you've been using the sun as an image. It could be a candle or campfire. So take a moment, visualize that light within your hands. Feel its warmth. It's quite warm in my space today. It may not be so warm in your space. If not, see if you can, either way, feel that light, feel that warmth as much as possible between your hands. And then we'll lift that light, sending it up overhead, and then separate the hands and imagine your light meeting the outer light as you come forward again. And the earth gathering light from all around you. And once again, we'll bring the hands back to the heart. This time taking the arms up with a breath in. Spreading that light around, you bring in your hands behind your back. If you can interlace your fingers comfortably, you can do that. Otherwise, keep the arms separate. And we'll stretch back with the shoulders, forward with the heart. And then as you exhale, bring your hands to your thighs. You can release and slide forward. Inhale, gathering light, lifting all the way up, bringing the palms together and back into your heart. Take a breath in and release. We'll step into warrior pose now. So you can take your left foot to begin with and step forward. And take your right foot, turning it a little bit out to the right so that your whole foot is on the ground. And especially the back edge of your foot. Although you don't want to roll, I can show you the ankle back. So you want to keep the foot really planted into the ball of the foot and the outer edge of the foot. Front foot pointing straight forward, and then if possible, the hips come to point in the same direction as your front foot. That might mean you have to change the angle of your back foot a little bit. You might need to move a little more forward or a little more out to the side, depending on your hips. So from here, we'll bend the front knee over the ankle, take a breath in, lift up. If you need to bend your elbows to keep your shoulders in a better position, feel free. As you come forward, you could straighten the front leg a little. Try to keep the spine long and the heart lifting. Bring the hands to the lower back. You'll feel a bit of stretch in your hamstrings likely. Inhaling, lifting up. Shoulders stay relaxed, neck relaxed. Exhale. Looking down towards your foot so the neck stays long, but lifting the heart. Inhale, up. Exhale. Inhale, lift. This time we'll stay for a few breaths. You'll exhale, come forward, keep the elbows lifting, the heart lifting. Bend your front knee as much as you need to so that you feel comfortable here. And if you want more support, hands to the knee. And if you're feeling strong and you want to work a little harder today, you can take either the arms to the sides or straight up overhead. Keep lifting that line through the back of the body. And then exhale, bring your hands down to either leg or the ground. Let your head release and take a few breaths here. Bending the front knee, inhale, lift up. Exhale, release the arms down. I'll step the feet back together. And take a moment here. Feel both feet on the ground again. You might feel a little bit different from one side to the other as we've just done an asymmetrical pose on one side only. So see if you can feel the difference. Notice how one hip feels compared to the other. One thigh, front and back, compared with the other. Even check in with the feet and the ankles and notice any difference. We'll step the right foot forward and turn the left foot out. The further apart your feet are front to back, the more you're going to feel a stretch in this pose. As you bend the knee, it's going to bring more arch to the lower back. And if you feel like you're having a hard time balancing, take your feet a little wider side to side. So take your right foot more to the right or your left foot more to the left, and you'll have a wider base of support, and it should feel a little more stable for you. So we'll take a breath in, raise the arms, bend the front knee over the ankle. As you exhale, keep a long spine, looking down to keep the back of the neck long, hands to the lower back, palms up. Inhale, bending the knee, lifting the arms. Exhale, coming forward. Continue a few more times like that. You can move the leg a little straighter if you like as you come forward, if you need more stretch. Otherwise, keep it bent, but bending it over the ankle as you lift up for a little more extension of the spine. Great. As you come forward this time, we'll stay. So again, elbows lifting. The knee can be bent or straight or somewhere in between. Try not to lock the knee if you've straightened it. You're looking down, keeping the back of the neck long. And alternatively, you could bring the hands onto the knee for a little more support, lifting the heart. Or if you want to work a little bit harder today, arms to the sides, a little bit more. Arms overhead is going to give you a lot more. And then you're lifting the heart. Breathing into that sun in your heart. As you exhale, hands can come to the knee, the shin, or down to the ground. You're letting your head release. Taking a few breaths here. Bend your front knee. Keep it straight. We're coming up with a breath in. And exhale to release. And again, step your feet back together. Take a moment to feel your body. Feel your feet on the ground. See if you can be aware of all of your toes, the balls of your feet, the heels. Sense of being really planted here. But also a sense of a little lift in the heart. Maybe feeling that expansion of the heart that reaches out and connects with the sun. And I will say, as I have every day, if it's difficult for you to connect with the theme of peace today or the theme of light, if you're feeling heavy and dark and not peaceful, first of all, thank you for showing up. Even in that state, it's really, really helpful. And then second, if you can find compassion for yourself, acceptance for where you're at, knowing that life is full of ups and downs, and we're not meant to be perfectly peaceful and happy all of the time. It's just not the way it works. So we deal with what comes up in the moment and find our way back to peace, but it's not a permanent state. So please Connect with compassion if you can. Let's take a breath in, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, come into a forward bend. Again, a little bend in your knees. We're going to alternate between the forward bend and half squat. Coming back up with the breath in. You can bring the palms together like you're gathering that light. Bring the hands down to the heart. And as if you're going to sit in a chair behind you. Squatting down. Inhale, lift up. Take that warmth and light from your hands, spread it all around you. Come into the forward bend. Again, a little bend in your knees. Inhale, lift up, gathering light. Palms come together. You're coming to sit in your chair, your imaginary chair. Inhale, this exercise often brings a little warmth into the body. If your space is a little cooler today, this might help to warm things up, especially on this next one, when you have the option to stay for a few breaths. So as you come down, check in with your knees. Make sure you're not putting strain on your knees. You want to have the knees over the ankles, the hips back, the chest lifting. So it's not, here or here. Finding this lift, knees back, bum moving down as the heart lifts. Let's inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, release your arms to your sides. And take the feet a little bit apart, and we'll roll the shoulders. So you can draw one shoulder forward and roll it back, and then the other shoulder. Check in with your knees. So there's a twist that goes all the way through the body if you're moving each shoulder back each time. And if you feel any tension in your knee, lift that heel as you circle the shoulders. So we don't want to feel restricted in the body in any way. You can also roll the shoulders the other direction. Right, and then give everything a little shake. Just let that go. Fantastic. So we're going to come into a gentle twist now. You can take the feet a little bit wider apart, wider than your shoulders, or shoulder distance minimum, maybe a little bit wider. Keep your knees soft. And we'll start with an upright twist. Arms reaching out to the sides to begin with. As you twist to the side, one hand will come to the hip opposite in front, the other hand palm facing out behind you. So if I show you from behind, like this, and I'm going to look over my shoulder in the direction of the arm that's behind me, and then I'll come back to the center with the breath in. Exhale, other direction. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, twisting. And if this feels like you want a little more here, you can add a forward bend. So instead of just taking the hand to the hip, it can come to the thigh or the knee or anywhere along that line. Back to center with the breath in. Exhale, going the other way. Continue at your own breath rhythm a few more times. And then come back to the center. Stretch the arms out to the sides. Press down into the feet, shoulders down. Arms reaching strongly to the sides. Turn the palms toward the ceiling. Stretch the fingers wide. If your arms are getting tired, bend the arms a little bit. Reach out. Feel the stretch all the way up your arms, and then extend the arms up overhead. Bend the elbows if you need to, and then exhale, flow forward. You can either take elbows to thighs or hands to the ground. And then as you inhale, make sure you're bending your knees a little, all the way up, and exhale forward any amount. Hands or elbows to thighs or hands to the ground. This time stay upright and release the arms to your sides. You can shuffle or step your feet back together. And we'll come to one more mountain pose before we switch to lying down. So let's reconnect with our theme of light today. Feeling the earth beneath you, feeling your heels dig down, feeling a lightness as much as possible in the upper body, so feeling of lifting, especially lifting at the heart. Imagine the heart beams coming out from the heart, connecting to the sun. Again, we can take the arms to the sides like we're gathering light, bringing the palms together overhead and bringing the hands back to the heart. Holding that light close to the heart, feeling as much as possible any kind of connection with light that you can this morning. And then as you're ready, release the hands. And we'll come to lie down on the mat. So you can come down onto your back. And as you come to the mat, you can have your knees bent and have the hands resting somewhere on your body where you feel your breath most prominently. So it could be the rib cage, it might be up here where your lungs actually are, sort of up between your collarbones and the rib cage, or you can bring your hands to the belly. Sometimes you often feel breath in the belly as the abdominal organs are displaced by the movement of the lungs. So coming to your back, and flip the screen down a little bit so that you can see me. On your back, and you can see I have my salt lamp at the end of my mat here. Really nice, soft light, helping me to feel more connected with the sun this morning. So whatever helps you feel more connected. Taking a few breaths here. Feel your breath moving under your hands. A little bit of emphasis on your exhalation. So you really feel the body settle and let go. If you're feeling tired and like you might fall back asleep this morning, rather than focus on the exhale, take a focus onto the inhale. So you inhale a little more strongly, maybe even hold for a second after the inhale if you're feeling like you might fall asleep. Otherwise, exhale, sink down, and allow the body to soften. We won't stay here too long or I will lose you all, I think. Or you'll lose me anyway. So from here, you can release the arms to your sides. Leave a little space between your body and your arms. And turn the palms toward the ceiling. And find a position where the heels feel like they're under the knees, as long as that's comfortable for your knees. It could also be with the feet a little further away for bridge pose. And we'll work with bridge pose, lifting on the inhale and lowering on the exhale. And if you want to move a little more slowly, you can take a couple of breaths to do each movement. So we'll start by taking a breath in. Exhale, press into your feet. And then as you inhale, slowly lift the hips. Take an extra breath if you need it. Feel the spine lengthening as you come up, and then as you exhale, slowly lower down. Continue like that a few more times. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering, or following your own breath in the way that feels best for you today. And as you come down next time, stay there and slide the arms a little higher and come to shoulder height, or even a little higher, maybe bending the elbows. You want to make sure the elbows and the backs of your hands are on the ground and that your shoulders feel comfortable, but maybe a little bit of stretch around the shoulders, upper chest. So you want to find a little openness and breathe deeply into that space around the heart. Big breath in, exhale completely. And then we'll roll the head gently from side to side, taking one ear toward the ground and taking the other ear toward the ground. You might feel a little stretch across the chest and shoulder on the opposite side from the way that your head is moving. If it feels too much stretch, lower the arms. If you want a little more stretch and it's comfortable to take the arms a little higher, you can try that. And let's bring the head back to the center. And lower the arms a little bit so they're shoulder height or lower now. And we'll work with the twist. So taking the knees to one side, you can allow the head to release the opposite direction. And then inhale, come back to center. Exhale, going the other way. A few times like that, side to side. And then coming back to the center, I'll offer you an alternative here with the arms. You can certainly stay where you are with the arms, or if you want to bring the upper back more into the twist, take your arms straight up toward the ceiling and bring your hands to opposite elbows, creating a little shape of the square over your chest. Now as the knees go one way, the head and arms go together the opposite way, and this is creating a little more opening in the back of the shoulders. So if we think of the heart not just as extending in the front of the body, but into the back of the body and the sides of the body as well. So this sense of opening all around the heart. When we focus on the front of the heart, it's more of a focus on connecting outward. When we focus on the back of the heart, it's more of a focus on connecting inward, self-love, self-compassion. And as you feel complete with this movement, coming back to the center, releasing the arms, bringing the knees up into the chest. We'll take the knees away, breathing in, and then draw the knees in toward your chest as you exhale. Inhale, knees moving away. Exhale, drawing in. Put your own pace. We'll work with this position for a few different movements. So finding the pace that's comfortable for you. And then if you want to vary the movement, maybe it's some gentle circles around the sacrum. So the sacrum is the flat part of the pelvis on the ground, back of the hips. We talked about creating some space around this area in standing. And as you circle around, check in to see, is it comfortable as you circle around? Are there areas that feel tight or restricted? If there's pain, certainly maybe avoid that area. And some people have a more particularly bony sacrum than others, and so this can be a little uncomfortable, in fact, for some people. So if that's the case for you, you might instead just hug the knees rather than putting all that weight out on the sacrum. For me, it feels like a lovely little massage, but I know that we're all different, so check in with your own body. Let's bring the knees in a little closer now if they're not already there, and rock a bit side to side. So as we bring the knees in closer, we tend to move the weight on the ground from out on the sacrum to more to the lumbar, mid-spine, upper spine. So as we rock side to side, you might be getting into those big muscles that support the spine and give them a massage. When you're ready, you can bring your feet back to the ground. Stretch the legs straight out on the ground. So feeling an opening in the hip flexors. We've just had those muscles really flexed, and now extending at the front of the hips, and you can reach the arms overhead for more extension. Point your toes up at the ceiling. Press your heels down into the mat. If your arms are uncomfortable overhead, I know that's the case for some of you, bend the elbows or take them up to the sides instead. Press down into your heels as if you were going to lift the hips off the ground and squeeze the buttocks, squeeze the thighs, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Big breath in, exhale, and relax. Let your body sink down. Let your feet fall away from each other to the sides, and take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll repeat that. So again, arms could be overhead or out to the sides. Pressing down into the heels. Exhale, squeeze the buttocks, squeeze the thighs. Don't actually lift your hips off the ground, but feel as though you could, that you're pressing down firmly. Draw your shoulder blades down towards your hips. Feel the back of your body wake up. Big breath in, exhale, and release, bringing the arms down to your sides. Let your feet fall away from each other. You can turn your palms toward the ceiling here, arms a little bit away from the body. And if you feel like your lower back needs more support here, bend your knees. We'll take a minute or two here to reconnect with the theme, let the body settle, and then we'll move to a seated position to do some postures there. So you can close your eyes. The area around your heart now. We've done a little bit of work to stretch the shoulders and across the chest. And we'll work with the neck. Lots of focus on this area around the heart. Connection with the light or the sun. So you might imagine as you lie here that you're under the sun. Again, if you're someone who loves the sun, you might imagine yourself on a beach. If you're more like me and you find that that's too intense, you might imagine yourself first thing in the morning or at the end of the day in the sunrise, or sunset, or even the moon as a reflected light of the sun. And as you breathe, you might imagine the rays of your own heart opening to receive the rays of light from the sun, or the moon, the reflected light of the sun. Take a few breaths, see if you can imagine that connection. And if not, if that imagination doesn't work for you, simply lying and breathing will be a nice exercise regardless. Relax your jaw, neck, face. Notice if there's tension anywhere in your body. Soften and relax. The idea here is not to fall back asleep, but to keep the mind alert and awake and engaged, visualizing that connection of the heart to the sun, while the body softens and relaxes. This is a skill that's important in life, is to be relaxed yet alert. More breaths here, and then we'll switch positions. When you're ready to come to sit, you can roll first onto your side. Use your opposite hand against the ground to support you. Slowly come upright. So as you come to sit, we're going to stretch one leg out. The other foot can be into the thigh with the knee toward the ground. Now, if this feels like there's some tension in the hip here or in the knee, feel free to modify. So taking a pillow, or if you happen to have blocks, you can use that to support the knee if you need to. For some people, having this knee completely bent may not be comfortable, so it may be that you need to stretch that leg out as well. If possible, having one foot in, the other leg straight, we're going to keep this foot flexed and the heel on the ground. And then we'll turn the torso towards the leg that's long. And I didn't tell you which leg, so whichever leg that is for you. Raising the arms up, take a breath in. As you come forward, try to move from the hinge of your hips, bring the hands either to the leg or the ground. So it's not about going around and going as far as you can, but keeping long. So inhale, lengthen, feel that lift through the heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips, and forward any amount. So again, lifting. This time as you come forward, bring your hands on either side of your leg to the floor. So we're, again, keeping the spine long, and we're going to use the floor as a bit of leverage, as if we're pulling back against the floor. Draw the chest forward. Try not to lead with the chin. Keep the chin slightly tucked in and feel the heart moving forward rather than the chin moving forward. Great. So let's take one or two more breaths here. And then for those of you who this is available for, you could then relax the back and round forward a little more. And it's not about getting the head to your knee or moving as far as you possibly can, but finding that place where you can really soften and relax in the pose. And in any forward bend, the back of the body, it gets a little more opening. So you might imagine the heart now in the back of your body extending and sending those rays out from the back. Heart connecting with the sun from there. If that visualization works for you, I know that not everyone is comfortable with visualizing or even sees pictures in their minds. So you can just imagine opening in the back of the body if that's more convenient or comfortable for you. As you're ready, we'll lift all the way up, coming up with the breath in, turning back to the center, releasing the arms. And we'll switch sides. So the knee comes in, you can move the other leg a little to the side and bring that knee down. Again, supporting there under the knee if that feels necessary to you. So sit up nice and tall, turn the body a little bit towards the leg. Take a breath in, reach all the way up. Exhale, forward, hinging at the hips. So again, it's not about going as far as you can forward, but honoring your body's limitations. Lift. Staying long in the spine. Good. One more, and this time as your hands come down, taking them to the ground on either side of your leg, and drawing back with the hands to slide the chest forward. Again, you're not leading with the chin. Chin stays slightly tucked in, and it's the arch of the spine that's creating that movement forward. So you may feel the muscles of your back contracting a little to hold you here. And then as you're ready, if it's available to you, you might let the back relax now and come a little bit more forward. Relaxing the head down and bringing your attention to the space in the back of the heart. Imagine breathing into that space. This is literally where your lungs are. You might feel that little expansion across the back rib cage. And then you might imagine the rays of your own heart expanding outward from your back to meet the rays of the sun. When you're ready, we'll lift all the way up, turn back to the center, and releasing the arms down. Stretch the legs straight out, and give them a little shake. And then we'll bring both knees up in toward the chest. And what I didn't mention earlier, but probably should have, is that you could have something a little bit under your sit bones, under your hips, to lift the hips a little, and that will tilt the pelvis forward and make it a little bit easier to sit without a rounded lower back. So So you may have done that already because we generally do that in classes. But if you haven't and you're feeling like your lower back is rounded, you might want to get a blanket or a pillow. You can even roll up part of your mat. Right? If you roll up the end of your mat, you could sit on that. So today my back feels nice and long. I've chosen not to have something under my sit bones, but you might choose to. I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees come apart again. You might need some padding under the knees if you feel tension, especially in the inner thighs or the lower back. We're going to bring the hands to the ground behind and use the hands to lift the heart. So as we lift the heart, allowing the knees to release down as much as is comfortable. So it's the arms behind that's helping to bring the pelvis upright. Maybe if I show you from the side, it might make a little bit more sense. So there's a tendency in this pose to be rounded here. And if we don't have support for the back, it can be difficult to lift up. So using the hands to find that lift in the heart. Now, for some of you, if this feels really easy, you might bring your hands forward. You can take a hold of your ankles, draw back on the ankles, and let that little bit of leverage lift the spine along. This may be absolutely enough for you today, in which case, I understand, stay here. If you want more, you can start to bring the body a little forward. Try to hinge forward from the hips. So if you notice, for me, that was only an inch or two that I came forward, and now I feel quite a bit more stretch in my hips and inner thighs. For you, back here or even here, leaning back a little bit might be a more appropriate position for you. So your body will hopefully give you the message where enough is for you. Slowly bring the knees back together and wrap your arms around your legs. Maybe bring your head down, take a few breaths here. And then we'll transition to all fours. So you can either cross your legs and come over your feet to come to all fours, or you might just swing your legs around and come onto hands and knees. If your feet tend to cramp with your toenails on the ground, tuck your toes under, and that might help. So cat, cow, or all fours to child's pose. So cow is the arched position where the chest is coming forward. Try not to lock your arms here. And then the cat position, back is rounded, or you can come to child's pose. So send hips back toward the heels. Inhaling, arching, exhaling, rounding, and maybe adding child's pose. For those of you who are feeling more energetic this morning and your wrists will support downward dog, you could come up into downward dog. You might keep the knees bent at least the first time to lengthen out the torso. Back to all fours when you're ready. You might also rest in child's pose. So we'll take another minute or so with this movement, following what works best for your body. And at some point, as long as child's pose is comfortable for you, take a moment in child's pose to be with your breath. So child's pose compresses the front of the body, right, as we're bent over, but it creates a lot of space in the back of your body, and you might come back to that image of the back of your heart expanding and the rays of your heart reaching out from that space, connecting with the rays of the sun coming down. Feel as much as you can that connection with the light. We're heading toward the solstice. The days are still getting shorter. We need to carry that light within. One or two more breaths in whatever position you're in. And then gradually make your way back to all fours. And then find your way to a comfortable seated position. So that could be on a chair. It could be sitting on your knees as I'm comfortable here, or it could be sitting cross-legged or with your legs stretched out. Doesn't matter, as long as your spine is erect and you're feeling comfortable. So I'm looking out the windows here and I'm seeing that it's another kind of gray day. It's sort of been the theme this week, outside. So really even more important that we find that warmth and light within ourselves. So you can close your eyes if you like. Take a few breaths here together. Inhaling. Feeling the sun in your heart. Exhaling, feeling your body. Feeling where you connect to the earth or your chair or the ground or the mat. Inhaling, feeling expansion around the heart. Front, back, and sides. Connecting with the light of the sun. Exhale, feel yourself. Feel your body. Feel where your hands meet your legs, where your sit bones meet, whatever you're sitting on. Take a few more breaths with that same idea of inhaling, connecting with the sun. Exhaling, connecting with your own physical body in this space. When you are ready, put your hands together. Again, you can leave that little bit of space. Imagine the sun or the light that you've chosen in that space between your hands. And I'll again invite you to chant with me if you like. You're certainly welcome to listen. And we'll chant Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And the idea here is we're chanting 3 times, and there's many different things that we can be chanting to. So today let's chant as we did yesterday, bringing peace to our thoughts, our words, and our actions as we go out into the world carrying this peace with us. It's so much more effective when we share it and bring the light and peace to others than if we just hoard it for ourselves. So exhale completely. Inhale. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And let's take the hands with the light and extend them out as if we're offering that light back to the world, to anyone else who might need some light today, anyone else who may be suffering, who may be feeling unpeaceful in their lives. Send it out to them. If you know someone in particular, you can imagine them as you send that light out. Let's come back together. Carry this light with you. Carry this peace, whatever amount you've been able to connect with in the class this morning, into your day. Namaste.